Hello everyone, my name is Wookie and welcome back to another episode of Minecraft How To. Today we're going to be going over how to build walls. I'm going to be showing you how to build fences, hedges, simple walls, and at the end of the video I'm going to show you how to build sculpting walls. The first thing we're going to be covering is just a basic fence. I'm going to go ahead and collect these materials right here. And one thing that you want to keep in mind is just having a set pattern down in mind. So here I'm going to leave 3 blocks in between each block right here. And then I'm going to fill those in with fences and different decorative blocks to keep a consistent pattern going. To be basic, I'm just going to put fences in between each of these and then decorate around them as well. Compare these two different fences, you can see that this simple pattern makes it look a lot better. Next up we're going to be covering is going to be hedges. It's going to be very similar to the other one. I suggest actually building out the hedge itself first and then putting in the pattern, because you never know exactly what you want to put in between and around the leaves. When building hedges in Minecraft, there's not too much detail you can put onto the actual outside. Maybe you can add some different blocks into the wall itself, but one thing that looks really nice with hedges is water. It adds a more natural element to it. The next wall I'm going to do is going to be a simple framed wall. The first thing I'm going to do with this is I'm going to build an empty canvas for me to frame the wall around, and then I'll show you how to clone it on top of itself so you can make it look a lot longer. So let's say this is how tall I want the wall to be. I'm going to add a frame around the entire outside, and then I'm going to fill in the inside with different decorative blocks to make it look nicer. Bada bing, bada boom. Something simple really goes a long way when you see it in a repetitive pattern. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add something for the top so that you can walk on top of it as well. All that's left to do is to clone this wall next to itself a bunch of times. As you can see here, that I only want to clone the middle of the wall and the dividing frame that separates the pattern from itself. Because I have 5 blocks in the middle and I also have 1 block dividing each one, that means 6 blocks in total, which means that I'm going to be cloning from this block right up here down to this corner right here. After cloning this wall just a few times, you can see that the simple pattern looks pretty nice even as small as it is. The next type of wall that we're going to be doing is a frameless wall. With this, the only difference is you're not going to be using an actual frame with your wall, you're just going to be adding details into the repetitive pattern. So right here I have the wall that I want to put the pattern inside. To show what the pattern is going to be, I place these 2 blocks right here to help me figure out exactly where the edges of the pattern are going to be and what the interior is going to be. A tip for bigger walls as well is to make it actually thicker than you would for thinner walls, just so you can add more depth into the build if you want to add holes or whatnot. The first thing I'm going to do on a wall this size is figure out where the light sources are going to be. Do you want them closer to the edges near the frames, or do you want it in the middle and at different points? The first thing I'm going to do with a wall this size is I'm going to actually add in a light source. You can do this however you want. You can put it in the middle, on the sides, whatever you do, just make sure that you stay consistent with the entire build. One really easy way to add depth is going to be around the light source itself. The shadows will really help it pop out a little bit more, and overall there's just going to be a lot more attention drawn to the actual light source itself. Another important technique that you can use is just using the exact same type of block you made the wall with, but just using not the full block itself to add in a little bit of depth. When you make a wall, usually you want to add some other type of color to it besides the wall itself. In my case, I went with the warped wood just because I think it looks very nice with the sandstone color. All right, I think I have a decent amount of detail on the wall itself. I'm only going to add a little bit more on the edges right here and here, because I know as I clone the wall next to itself, there's going to be a bit of a dead space and it's going to look a little funky. So to make it look less funky, I'm just going to carve in a bit of space right here. So I'm pretty happy with the wall design, and as you know, the next thing I need to do is just click clone it. And there you have it, a pretty nice wall design, very easy to replicate, especially if you're using the clone command. All right, now the last type of wall that I'm going to do is actually going to be the one that takes a lot longer than any other type of wall to create, and it's going to be actually sculpting the wall. So you're not just creating a flat canvas and then putting some details in. In this type of wall, you're actually putting in maybe columns or buttresses, something to give the wall actual presence and a lot of depth and character. Of course, that doesn't mean that we're not going to create a canvas for us to actually sculpt out on instead of carving in. After thinking about it for a little bit, the 2 main designs that I want to focus on for this wall are going to be buttresses on either side of a spiral going up to an overhang that comes out from the wall. So to start off with, I'm going to build up the buttresses. After playing around with the buttress for a few moments, I laid out a shape that I really liked, and I'm just going to copy that onto this side and then start on the spiral and maybe on the background. One last thing I got to do to the buttresses is add a light source and put a few designs on them to make them pop a little bit more. Now that I have that done, one thing I want to do before I put the spiral in is I'm going to carve out a little section into the wall to add some depth. And I'm going to do that before I put the spiral in, just so it's easier for me to work around in. Now that I have a little bit of space carved out, I also added a little spot in the bottom as well. I'm going to put in a little design in the center there, and I don't think I'm going to put any lighting, just to add more pop to the buttresses instead of the middle area. I'm going to be completely honest. I tried to make a pixel art of like a lion for the last roughly 10 minutes, and it was not working out. So instead, I just went with a little crest with an H, I don't know, Hogwarts or something. But that's what my little design is going to be on the inside. The next thing I'm going to do is add in the spiral. Now, if you haven't seen my video on how to create spirals in Minecraft and easy ways to do it, I highly suggest going and looking at it. Otherwise, I'll see you when I'm done. Once I got that spiral done, all I did is I added some interior lights on the inside because it honestly was really dark. I added the overhang, added a few design elements to that, and I think basically I'm done with the actual wall. Obviously, I could put some stuff on top of the wall, like pathways and everything, but I don't think I'm going to be doing that just for the purpose of time. And you know what time it is? It's time for us to clone this bad boy so that we can get the repeating pattern and see what the end result is. After cloning it a few times, I really like the overall look I went for. If I were to change a few things, I might get rid of some of these dark prismarine blocks here and there, but overall, I think it gets the job done pretty well, especially for a bigger wall. Thank you all so much for watching the video. I really appreciate it. If you liked the video, please leave a like. And if you enjoyed this content, consider subscribing because I try to release about one video a week. Otherwise, I will see you soon.